Hey, what's happening YouTube? It's Steve from Drifter Game there again today with another video. And this time I'm bringing you my review on Skyrim. The... How do I say this? The masterpiece. One of the best games of all time. A game that's loved by everyone and a game now that is fully loved by me. Yeah, I spent the whole of January now. Just to give you a bit of a backstory, my experience with Skyrim. I started playing this game in 2011. I got it maybe 2 or 3 days after launch. For whatever reason, it never clicked with me back then. I've tried it again various times since when they brought out the numerous different editions that they have on the next, well, the previous gen and now the current gen. Again, I started back in 2022 with the latest edition that they brought out. Done, but I think it was the first 2 missions I done on the game. I cleared that. Again, never clicked with me for whatever reason, and I really wanted to put that right. I've got a bucket list of sort of video games that I want to beat, and this one was high on my list. It's a game that's been on my radar for a long time, a game that I've really wanted to experience, and I thought, you know what, with the lineup we've got in 2025, the potential juggernaut that is GTA 6, it's likely to launch at the end of the year, I thought, you know what, I'm going to spend the first part of the year and I'm going to beat this game. I want to beat this game and I want to experience every single part of this game that I can, and that's what I did. I started on the 4th or 5th of January, I believe, and I got the Platinum Trophy on the 1st of February. I've taken the last 2 weeks to fully digest my experience, just to make sure that my opinions here aren't emotional. They're not just sort of like reactions or impulse comments. They're exactly how I feel. And I want to sort of talk through my positive thoughts on the game, a few of the negatives, and I do, just to be clear, there's only a few negatives in this game, if any at all. And yeah, just to give my final thoughts, and to start off with, obviously Skyrim, when you start the game, obviously you're on your way through the Helgen, basically to be beheaded. That's how you to be beheaded. And when you reach there, you get to choose your race. Now, what I decided to pick was the Imperials. I wanted to pick the Imperial race purely on the basis I like to play these games and I like to use speech rather than just constantly go through and smashing everything in sight. I like to talk my way out of situations. I like to talk my way into situations, and I like to sort of get as much dialogue out of a game as I can. So that was my reason for picking that. But you can pick one of various different races, the usual ones you can imagine. Anyone that's played sort of like this style of an RPG, you'll know what I'm on about. Um, but yeah, to get back to the story roughly will take you 10 to 15 hours to beat it. Depends on how quick you want to fly through the game. I opted with the story to basically do sort of like the first 4 or 5 missions and then just go and explore, which I think is what a lot of people opted to do. That was my opinion of what I want to do with the game, because I don't think the main story is that great, if I'm honest. I think it's like sort of a standard story. In all honesty, I don't think a game like this you play for the main story. I don't. I think it's got so much to it. It's got so much meat to the bone, that it really isn't sort of something that's make or break for this game. But just to touch on the story briefly, you're Dragonborn. So as you start off the game, just as a spoiler for anyone, this bit will be a spoiler if you want to mute it. When you start off the game, you're on your way to Helgen to get beheaded. When you do get there, a dragon jumps down, just as you're about to obviously have your head popped off. Um, the dragon drops down, and then that's where it begins. You realise that you're Dragonborn, and you're pretty much going around this game trying to find an ancient dragon that's bringing other dragons back to life, and you're pretty much trying to put an end to that. Your standard sort of epic sci-fi, fantasy RPG game. I enjoyed the story. Again, like I say, it's not something that I thought was make or break for this game, but it was something that I did enjoy, I'll not lie. Um, what I loved about this game was the variety of the way that you could play. Now, with the gameplay, what was really, really good for this game was that you can pretty much decide if you want to be a sort of juggernaut that wants to become beefy and godlike, you can do that. You can pretty much become like a stealth archer, so you can stealth your way through the whole game, which I believe is quite a popular choice for a lot of people. It's not a route I went down. I decided to go down as sort of like a warrior. That's the sort of class that I wanted to be. And towards the end of it, I kind of sort of merged it with a mage. After I'd done the Winterhold quests, I did that, and then I decided to sort of merge the two together just for a bit of variety. I tried doing a bit of the stealth archer one, but I'll be honest, I found it a little bit repetitive and it just wasn't for me personally. You can also do be a mage, and as you can imagine, there's various other ways you can play it. With regards to the gameplay, again, I don't think the actual gameplay itself was that unique. Even back in 2011, I don't think it was that unique. It's just sort of your standard controls, your standard sort of movesets, stuff that you would expect to have. But again, it's enjoyable. It's an enjoyable time. As part of, obviously, with the gameplay, for traversing the universe, you can traverse the universe in a few different ways. You can also go by foot, which is what I opted to do, because personally for me, once you're sort of roaming around this world, it wasn't something I really wanted to fast travel. I didn't really want to use any other ways. I wanted to sort of take it in, because for me personally, I do quite a very stressful job. So coming home and sitting down and playing this at night, it was very relaxing. It was very sort of, it was good for the soul, just to put it like that. But there are other ways you can travel. You can go by carriage. So the various 9 different cities in the game, there's a carriage outside that you can just basically go up to the guy that's sitting on it, and then ask him to take you from one city to another. As long as you're not over encumbered with your inventory, you can pretty much go from city to city. Or you can steal a horse, or you can buy a horse effectively. There is a quest for the Assassin's Guild that eventually you will be given a horse. The leader of that gives you her horse effectively. So if you want to save yourself some money, just go and start the Assassin's Guild, and then that basically that'll get you that pretty much quicker. The environments. This is one thing I hope it's coming across really well on screen at the moment. But the environments in this game are absolutely stunning. For a game that came out in 2011, I'm playing this on a PS5 Pro. So again, obviously you would expect it to look slightly better, but look at the water. Look at the water effects, look at the snow effects, just look at what's on screen. It's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. And the thing is, with Bethesda, they've never really been known as a studio that's been overly great for graphics, I guess. I've always liked their graphics, but every time I read a review, whether it was Starfield, Fallout, there's always sort of been complaints for these style of games. People don't like them. People want more effectively. Whereas I think that these graphics are absolutely beautiful. I really do. I think they look excellent on screen. The thing that I love the most is, see, when you go to places like Winterhold and you decide to go right up to the top of a mountain and you can see the snows coming down. And like right now on screen, as you can see the sort of winds blowing the snow around. It looks absolutely stunning. It really is immersive, and it gets you into the environment, it gets you into the game, gets you into that world, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. The rain effects as well, when you're in certain cities, at night time, usually you'll get the rain starts to pound down, and you can see it coming down. It looks good. It really reminds me of Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. I think my memory doesn't serve me well here, but when Frodo gets to one of the first sort of villages in the game where he meets Aragorn, when you get there, you see the water coming down, the rain coming down. It feels like that. And there's another city in this game that basically gives you the feeling of being. I think, forgive me, I forget what the name is now in Lord of the Rings, but it's where the elves are, and it looks very similar to that. And it really just immersed me in the game, and I loved it. I really, really did. Um, well, as you've seen on screen right now, there's various sort of humans, basically various different enemies that will attack you while you're roaming around the game. Now, I've had anything from sort of like soldiers to saber cats, bears, wolves, vampires, witches, dragons, all sorts of things attacking me in this game. It's incredible. Like, from one minute you'll be running round from one end of the game to the other to go and do another mission or try and find an item, whatever it may be, and then you'll hear this sort of flapping above you, and you're thinking, "Oh, what's that?" You look up and you see this dragon, and this fucking dragon will come down, and it will spray lightning at you. It'll spray, say, frost at you. Obviously, as you'd expect, it will spray fire at you, and it's incredible. The on-screen effects, the battles that you have with this dragon, it's absolutely incredible. And for me personally, I've played various different games over the years. I generally think this is one of the best dragon sort of fights that I've had in a game. is throughout Skyrim. From the first dragon I fought to the last dragon I fought, every single one's been memorable. It's had its own sort of unique part to it, and it's been special in its own way. But it's the variety of different things in this game that just keep you immersed. Now, I've played games before that they'll maybe say 50 to 100-hour games. Now, even say 10 or 15-hour games. Now, when you're traversing through those various different worlds, there are times when you can get bored and you can think to yourself, "Oh, I wish this was over now. I've had enough." Whereas with Skyrim, every single time I pick up this game, and like I say, with regards to my work, it's quite a high intense job that I do. So when I come home from work at night, I'm not always in the mood to want to go into something and try and have to constantly be thinking and doing things. So I just want to relax. And whenever I pick up this game, it keeps me immersed, and whatever's happened in during that day is gone. Because as soon as I hear that music hit, as soon as I get that first dragon attacks me, witch attacks me, whatever it may be, or even just when I'm traversing the universe, it gets me sucked in, and it's such a good feeling. It's such a unique game. It's just such a special game. Um, and the exploration, it just feels so rewarding as well. Now, whether when you're roaming around, you'll come up and you'll see maybe a castle, you'll see a stronghold, you'll see like a dungeon. Every time you go through and you explore it, you always feel like you're gonna find something unique. You always feel like you're gonna find something special, and 9 times out of 10 you do. There's not been any point in this game where I've gone through it and I felt, oh, that was a slog. Not at all. Even with some of the grindy trophies that you've got, even then it's just fun to get, it's just relaxing to get, it's just a chilled out adventure. And I think the thing that's really helped as well with this game, and I think it would have been a big thing at launch back in 2011 as well, is when I've played this game, it's winter time, so it's dark nights, cold nights, and playing this game's nice and warm, it's cozy, it's relaxing, it's just a good experience as a whole. It's something that you don't want to put your controller down for a minute, and when you do, you're at work, or you may be out, you're doing something outside, and you're constantly thinking, I just want to get back and play Skyrim. I just want to play Skyrim right now. And it's something that even 2 weeks on from beating it, now today I've been playing through Avowed, which by the way is a really good game. But again, I'm still thinking of Skyrim, and I fully understand now, and I fully appreciate now why this is a game that has had the longevity that it's had, because of the variety in the game, everything you can do in the game. Even when you go through to the upgrade system's unique in itself. That with most typical RPG games, you level up by doing quests, or you can go and farm. Now, a good example is Black Myth Wukong. With Black Myth Wukong, you can basically, I forget, I think it's chapter 4 in the game, and it's sort of like a spider level basically. And there's a bit in the game where basically, as long as you've leveled up well enough, you can pretty much go around the corner from where like a fast travel point is, go around there, sort of set yourself on fire, and you can explode, and you basically blow up all these spider eggs, and by doing so, you can go up the levels really quick. Now, I'll not lie, I used that to my advantage, just the same as everybody else did, and I went from like say level 30 to level 60 in the space of maybe 45 minutes to an hour, maybe an hour and a half tops. But with this game, you can't do anything like that. With this game, you can only basically level yourself up by using the weapons. So if you want to be a sort of stealth build, the best way for you to level up is by lockpicking, it's by sneaking, it's by doing backstabs, maybe even using your sort of your bow and just going into the distance and doing long shots, because you get like a 3 times bonus on that. If you want to be sort of like a brute force sort of warrior, you bet, as you'll see on screen in a minute, I did that with myself, and I leveled myself up to a level 100, just purely by playing that way throughout the whole of the game. Like I say, towards the end of it, I did decide to sort of merge it into being a mage build, purely because I quite had a lot of fun using the magic on there. But again, it's the amount of variety in this game. Again, one thing not to miss is with the skill books, you use skill books to level up as well. When you go through these various different dungeons, you can find skill books. I believe there's 82 in the game. You need 50 for a trophy or an achievement if you're playing on Xbox. But that will level you up as well, and that'll give you a nice little boost. And it really was a unique way to play the game, in the sense that most games, like I say, they rely heavily on you just basically either spamming certain sections just to basically level up, or or by basically beating various missions and doing hundreds of different side quests just to boast yourself up. This game's completely different. And with regards to the leveling, like the game scales to you, so you can basically go around any area that you want from start to finish. Um, it will scale to yourself, so you're always challenged throughout the game. But again, it's fair. It's not overpowered, and you're not overpowered. So you can get godlike eventually if you really want to. I didn't want to do that because I like to, especially with a game like this, I want to experience it fully. I don't want to sort of cheese my way through the game. So I don't see the point in doing it. But if you want to do that again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just what everybody likes. Um, Getting back to sort of the quest. Now I've touched on the main quest now with the game, there are hundreds upon hundreds of different missions, different quests, miscellaneous quests, treasure hunts, various different things you can do in the game. I want to touch on a few things that I really did enjoy. Now, with the various guilds in the game, there's obviously quite a few guilds in the game you can join. The three ones that stuck out to me was one was a companions guild, and again, this will be spoiler, so just obviously fast forward it on a little bit. But with the companions, you do these quests. It's pretty much the first sort of town that you go to in the game. It's called Winterhold, not Winterhold. Sorry, it's sort of dropped off my mind, so apologies. But it's one of the first places you go to in the game. Um, but when you do get there, you can join this guild called the Companions. Now, by doing so, you can basically become a werewolf, which is really quite a unique sort of thing that you can do. It's something that took me by surprise because I'll be honest, when I started playing Skyrim, I didn't think you could become a werewolf. I didn't, and that just sort of goes into sort of the unique things in this game that you can do. The other two that really stood out to me was one was the Assassin's Guild, which basically, as it says, so not the Assassin's Guild, ignore me. The Dark Brotherhood, which is an assassin sort of group, but again, they're not called the Assassin's Guild, so apologies for that. Feel free to give me a dislike for that, sorry. Um, but no, you can join the Dark Brotherhood. Now, that was brilliant. That was an absolutely fantastic one. And with that, what I found unique about that, in Riften, there's sort of like there's an area where there's a load of children that are sort of, it's like an adoption centre as such. Now there's a woman in there that runs it. Now she's not very nice. She's horrible. Now when I was first playing the game and I first went to Riften, I'd seen this woman in there. And basically I thought, you know what? I don't like this woman very much. I'm just going to kill her. So I did. Obviously I reloaded the save because I didn't want to lose out on getting a bounty because I didn't want to get a bounty at that time because I was sort of playing a good guy kind of playthrough. But later on in the game, there's another sort of miscellaneous quest that you get, and by doing so, to join the Dark Brotherhood, you have to go and kill this woman as part of the game. Now, I found that incredible. I found that incredible. Something that I'd done 50 hours prior in the game was something that was actually going to be needed anyway, and it just really did just sort of dive into the depth of this game and just how much there is. And then again, the last guild I want to touch on was the Thieves Guild, which was just a fantastic one, which really, it reminded me a lot of, there was a game called Thief. Now obviously I know you're going to think, well, obviously it's going to be about thieves, but just the way that you could move around, it was very reminiscent of that. Now that's a really underrated game. If you've never played Thief, please play it. It's not very expensive. I think it's like maybe £5 or £10 on the PlayStation Store, maybe the Xbox One as well, but definitely a game that's worth picking up. But again, these three guilds themselves, probably in total I spent, I want to say, maybe 20-25 hours with. In particular, it was the Thieves Guild because you have to do a lot of grinding on that one, just doing various missions to sort of get they call it a special mission in the game, but you have to do various sort of side missions in that just to get it to pot, and for the trophy as well. But it was just a fantastic experience. It really was a fantastic experience with it, and it was just a unique experience as well. It was something that I've not really come across in many games, just that level of depth and variety and just sort of expansiveness that just it keeps going. The other one I want to touch on as well was part of the trophies. Obviously, I'm going through it and I want to get the platinum. Now, there's one on there called Daedric Quests, I believe. If I'm not pronouncing it right, I apologise. But that was good because you had to do various different sort of missions. I think you had to do 15 in total for the platinum. But by doing so, you got various different sort of unique rewards. Now, two of the missions that really sort of stuck with me. One was a werewolf one. Now, for this one, I forget the town that I was going through, but I was going through one of the towns or cities, whatever you want to call it, and I went into one of the prison station, police stations or prison stations, sorry, police stations. And when I went in there, there was sort of a guy in there that wanted to talk to me. So when I started talking to the guy that's behind the bars, he's telling me that he's killed a load of people because he turns into a werewolf, he can't stop, and he basically offers you, I think it's called Hercene Ring, and by taking that ring, you can basically morph into a werewolf and unmorph as quick as you want, effectively. But he says basically, if he gives you that ring, obviously go and find him and help him effectively. So by doing so, I let him out. He escapes the prison, not prison, the police station. And when I found him, it reminded me of an American Werewolf in London, the setting, the sort of tone, the atmosphere. But by doing that, it really sort of again just got me into the immersion of the game and just how incredible it was. And the other one that I did think was pretty cool was that you had to sacrifice a priest. Now I know people think you're a bit sick in the head for thinking that, but just generally it was a it was quite a fucking unique thing to do. It was yeah, it was just different. It just there wasn't like one tone of this game. It had various different tones, various different things you could do, various different sort of atmospheric effects, and yeah, it was like a culmination of 100 different things into one, and it was just yeah, it was such a good thing. And with the quests, once you beat the main mission, the main quests, and you've done all the side quests, it carries on. Like the quests just keep generating themselves, and you'll keep getting miscellaneous quests. And I do believe towards the end of it, some of them will start getting repetitive, and it'll only be sort of for your die-hard fans that will continue playing that. But yeah, it's remarkable just the depth of this game and the variety of different things that you can do on it. It's just an endless, a timeless sort of game. Um, the other thing I want to touch on before I start to get onto some of the negatives is the music. Now, the music in this game is so good. It's so good. There's times when I've been playing this game, I've found myself just sort of standing around and just taking in the atmosphere, taking in the environments, taking in what's around me, and just exploring and listening to the music. There's times I found myself at work, when I've been sitting in meetings, when I'm waiting for my time to talk, where I'll just sit there and I was just in my head, I'm just humming away to this sort of soundtrack of Skyrim, and I still do it now because it's just such a good soundtrack to the game. It's just so immersive. It's so cozy and just gets you into the world of Skyrim and just makes you feel part of this game. Now, I want to touch on the negatives. For me, there's only a few. A lot of people won't agree with them, and I appreciate that. But it was just things that I wanted to basically comment on. It's not great game breaking. It certainly didn't ruin the game for me, but it was just sometimes at times it could be a little frustrating. The first one for me is combat. As much as I love the upgrade system, as much as I love the way that you can upgrade, I did find the combat janky. There's times where you're taking swings at people, and it doesn't land anywhere near your enemy. There's times when I've been in a dungeon and I've been trying to kill somebody, and it's been a guy that's really overpowered, and I'm just sort of trying to gradually take my time with it. And I'm on a staircase. Now I can be maybe 6 or 7 stairs away from this guy. He's got sort of like a little dagger. Yet he'll try and take a swipe at me and he's hitting me full belt. And it's like things like that at times could get frustrating and they could sort of very rarely break your immersion and just get you frustrated and make you think, well, how is this right? With the various different updates and the various different versions that Bethesda's brought out, you'd think it's something in there that they could patch and they could get sorted out for you. But it's something they've just not really sort of have dealt with yet. Um, but again, it's not a major thing. Like, as I said, the gameplay for me was brilliant. The actual sort of combat for me wasn't the be or end all for this game, so it's not really something that broke the game for me personally. But it might for you. The other one was the voice acting. Now, the voice acting was excellent for the characters, but it got repetitive. Now, I believe they only had something, what, 40 or 60 voice actors for this game, but with a vast amount of NPCs in the game, there were times when you could just hear the same voices, and it did get a little bit sort of janky for me and a bit repetitive. Again, it didn't break the game for me, but it did just sort of become one of those things that I really hope for the Elder Scrolls 6 that they can really ramp up on that, which I'm sure they will at the end of the day. I'd be very surprised if they don't. And then the last one for me personally um, was bugs, as always with a Bethesda game, whether it's Fallout, Starfield, or Skyrim, or Oblivion, Morrowind, whatever it may be. There's always bugs in it. Now, the bugs I had in it weren't desperately bad, but it's just the usual standard thing. Characters disappearing, weapons not working, weapons disappearing, things like that. Weapons disappearing from my inventory, but being dropped about 10 steps behind me. Luckily, I managed to find one of them, which was a unique weapon that I'd worked really hard to get. But again, it's something that it's a 14-year-old game. It's not something I'm going to harp on about too much. And in all honesty, for me personally, that was it for the negatives. I really didn't find that many more negatives with the game. I had too much fun to care, is probably the best way that I can put it. It's something that I, probably a more sort of professional reviewer would harp on about a bit about more because they need to, because it's their job. But for somebody who's just playing the game and doing this for a bit of fun, I'm not gonna sit here and get upset or sort of like really upset about a game that is giving me 134 hours of absolute fun and get upset for something that's sort of pissed me off a couple of times. It's really not that big a deal for me. Now, for me, really, I think this is going to be the thing for me, how I know I love the game now. I'm a massive Grand Theft Auto fanatic. GTA's always sort of been one of my favourite games. I'm so hyped for GTA 6, as everybody is right now. We're craving the next trailer. We're sort of hoping out for October, November is going to be a release. It doesn't get pushed back to 2026, but I can honestly say that with regards to the Elder Scrolls, I am pretty much on par with Grand Theft Auto 6 for how excited I am for the Elder Scrolls 6. I really am, and for the Oblivion remake, because I've never played Oblivion. This was my sort of first foray into the world of Skyrim, and yeah, I am incredibly excited for the Elder Scrolls 6. I am so excited for it. There's things that I really hope are gonna be there from this one. I hope the sort of cozy atmosphere, the cozy sort of graphics, the level of detail in the game, the variety of missions, the sort of variety of guilds. Um, I hope that's all there. I'm fully confident with Bethesda it will be. I know people are worried after Starfield. I like Starfield a lot personally. I know there's other people that are worried, and I get that. But I'm really excited for it. I don't think we'll get it for a good few years yet. I think it's probably going to be 2028 before we even get a word on it personally. But yeah, I cannot wait for it. I'm very excited for it. And yeah, I mean, this game personally for me, if it's something you've not played, it's something you should play. It's something that everybody should play once, at least once at this game. Even if it's a game that you don't think you're going to have time to play, even if it's a game that you don't think you're going to have time to invest in, make the time. Make the time, even if it's 1 or 2 hours a week, make the time to invest in this game because, in all honesty, with some of the games that release now that really aren't fit for purpose, that are broken at launch, that never get fully patched, that you have to wait on patches for, this is a game that is worth your time. This is a game that's well worth in 2025 understanding why this hype, understanding why this is one of the best games of all time, why it's the 8th highest selling title of all time, why it's a game that's been released multiple times, and why it's a game that pretty much defined the generation. Because if you ask a lot of people what defined the Xbox 360 PS3 generation, a lot of people will say Skyrim. A lot of people will, and I remember when that game came out. I remember the hype around it. I remember why everybody fell in love with it, and I understand it now. Now I can appreciate it. Now I can fully understand the memes. I can fully understand the constant videos on YouTube about this game being worth in 2025, why you should play it, etc., etc. It's a game that everybody should play, and it's a game that if you've got Xbox, I believe it's on Game Pass. If it's on PlayStation, it's about £20. Now, for £20, you are looking at. I put 134 hours in this game, and I can say safely and confidently, I've experienced maybe 75% this game. 75% this game. I still have the DLCs to do, which I'll go back to later on in the year. Um, I've still got dungeons to explore. There's still a few little castles to explore. I've still got an absolute shit ton of miscellaneous objectives, of various side quests. I've still got all of these things to explore and do, and it's a game that for me is timeless. It's a game for me that is something that, see, in 20 years' time, our children will be talking about. It's something that I don't think a lot of people will forget. It's something that is obviously, it's spawned and helped, really helped people like Nintendo themselves create the Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I really do feel that inspired it. I feel like it's inspired a lot of games since, like Elden Ring, obviously another masterpiece, another 10 out of 10 game. Um, it's something that, yeah, again, I don't want to keep saying it's something because I sound like a broken record, but it's just an incredible experience. It's something that, sorry, again, it's one thing that I love. I absolutely have adored this game. Usually I get quite anxious because I like to make sure I beat a lot of games every year because I want to experience as many games as I can. And playing through January, obviously I've only played and beaten one game. It's something that I've sat there and thinking to myself, oh no, come on man, you need to get a move on it. But I've not. I've loved it. I've loved every second of my 134 hours. It's one game that I'll never forget. It's a time that it really. I've been not been in the best of places over the last sort of few months, and it's something that really has helped me out massively. And I think it'll help a lot of people out too. It's just a masterpiece, absolute masterpiece of a game. And yeah, it really is a game that if you can get the time to play it and you want to invest that time, you should play it because you can be whatever you want in this game. You can play the game however you want. You tackle missions however you want. You do whatever you want. If you don't even want to do the main quest in the game, you don't need to. You get the first one done out of the way. You're on your carriage all the way through, and then you just go and do what you want. That's you. Once you've broken out, you got through that first cave, got past that big old ass bear, then that's you. You can go and tackle that game and do whatever you want. And yeah, I want to wrap it up on that one, guys. For me personally, I'm not really one to give review scores on the game. I do it for a little bit of fun on Twitter, but I don't take it too seriously. But for this one, I would definitely say definitely a 10 out of 10. It's not often I would give a game that. I've done it very rarely in the last sort of 10 years. The only times I've done it, for me personally, was the original Last of Us, because it's my favourite game of all time. Probably both Legend of Zelda's, the Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, and of course Elden Ring. Um, they're for me the only games I've played in the last 10 years. Oh, and Red Dead Redemption 2, not to forget that one. They're the only games I've played in the last 10 to sort of 10, 15 years that I thought, yeah, you can't improve on. You can't actually do anything to make that game better. You can't actually do anything to top it. And I really do feel for Bethesda because as much as Rockstar right now must be feeling some amount of pressure from all of us at how they've got to improve on GTA 5 and more specifically GTA Online, I feel for Bethesda with the Elder Scrolls because to be able to improve on Skyrim, it's going to be a hard task. It really is, especially with this rumored Oblivion 4, Oblivion 4, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remake that's in the pipeline that's looking like it's going to come out this year if you believe the rumors that are out there. Um, it's really something that I feel for Bethesda to try and actually top this game. And if they can do it, fantastic. What I will say is when the Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, I'll be sort of knocking off at least 3 or 4 weeks just to take time to play this game and experience it. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like Skyrim, which I'd imagine 90% of you do. And yeah, just what your thoughts and opinions are, what you maybe would like to see in the Elder Scrolls 6, what your hopes are for it, when you think we could see it. If you've heard anything different, if you think it could potentially be a launch title for next year for the rumored new Xbox Prime, if it's even going to be an Xbox at this point, it's probably going to come out as a sort of a half PlayStation, half Xbox sort of weird experiment. Um, but yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, guys. As always, give me a like if you enjoyed the video. If you didn't enjoy the video, give me a dislike. It lets me know where to improve. Give me comments in the section, telling me know what your thoughts are. And yeah, till next time, guys. Take care.